Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about a specific biotech company which makes RNA interference drugs. The name of this company is Alnylam Pharmaceuticals. The current market capital is around $39.5 billion, and the current price is, as of now, it is somewhat like $295 per share. So this company is very interesting. This company makes this specific RNA interference drugs. In this field, in the field of medicine, this technique got Nobel Prize in 2006, and they nicely capitalized this technique to make drugs. And the main process, the way this drug basically becomes effective, is it finds the mRNA which causes some harmful protein production in our body, and this drug basically finds those mRNA and destroys. So it stops the protein production and rescues the body from that specific disease. So in their let's understand their business model. So this company makes high cost specialty drugs, and they have a few drugs in their pipeline, and a few drugs they are already present in the market. But among them, a specific drug, its name is AMVUTTRA. This is their main product. This drug is very expensive, and apparently it costs 476,000 per patient per year. And this drug is administered once in every quarter. And once it is administered, there has been it's proven that it strongly reduces the protein production for the disease called cardiomyopathy, which is basically a heart disease. So it is given lifetime. So this particular drug, first of all, it's very expensive, and it creates recurring revenue for this company. So why I'm talking about this drug? Because this particular drug, AMVUTTRA, is their main product, which is basically around 90% of the total revenue that they get from selling everything. And this is also their fastest growing segment. So this drug had a sales growth of 187% year on year. To understand the comparative comparison, there is another drug which is its main competitor. It is from Pfizer. The name of this drug is tafamidis. So the year on year growth of this drug has been around 20 to 30%. On the contrary, the drug AMVUTTRA by Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, its growth had been 180% year on year. So that shows that this drug is like growing really fast and making lots of money for this company. So what is the market opportunity for this specific drug, AMVUTTRA? Now, in the con call, the management has said that more than 200,000 patients in the United States, by the way, United States is their main market. They are also present in the other geographical areas, such as in Japan, in Germany, I guess in entire Europe, plus United States. And United States is also their fastest growing market. So this management has claimed in the con call that around 200,000 patients in United States are has these heart issues, and more than 80% of them are untreated. So this company is investing heavily in AI to understand the patterns of the diagnosis data, to understand if they require this specific drug, or they have this specific disease called cardiomyopathy, which is due to a specific protein, transthyretin. So they are investing heavily in AI. So that shows that they are inclined in creating a market for this drug. They are also partnering with the American Heart Association for increasing awareness of this specific drug and its efficacy. So let's understand the main part. As an investor, what we should actually worry about is the financial performance. So I will discuss here the financial performance of FY25, that is so the entire year of 2025, and one specific quarter which is Q1 of 2026, because I guess 2-3 days before their Q1 results of FY26 came. So let's understand that how this company is doing the business. So in FY25, their entire revenue growth, by entire revenue growth I mean the including AMVUTTRA and the few other drugs, and then their royalties and everything. So in FY25, their revenue growth was 65%, and in Q1 of FY26 it is 96%. So as you see, 65% to 96%, that's a huge jump. So their revenue growth is accelerating. And this specific segment, AMVUTTRA, which is also their fastest growing segment, it was launched in 2025. So in FY25, its growth was 103%, and only in Q1, their revenue growth had been staggering 153%. So again, here also this AMVUTTRA drug had been spectacularly successful, and it's also growing very fast and making lots of money for this company. Next is the net income. This company was previously a loss-making company. So in 2025, first they come into profitable, and they made a net income of 314 million in this entire year of FY25. And comparingly, in first quarter of FY26, their net income was $206 million. So again, you see the entire year of 2025, it was $314 million, and just in Q1 they made a net income of $206 million. So as this company is making this journey from loss to profitable, they are that's like an inflection year, and in such cases investors can also make a lot of money if they stick to this company. Their net margin, so their net margin in FY25 was around 8.4%, and just in Q1 of FY25, their margin had been staggeringly improved, around 17.6%. So 8.4% to 17.6%. That again shows they are getting operating leverage. That is also means that whatever their revenue growth, their profit growth will be much faster than their revenue growth. So if the revenue growth is already 96%, that means their profit growth will be tremendously high. And there is also a non-GAAP operating margin. So the non-GAAP operating margin in FY25, it was 28%, and just in Q1 of FY26, it is 45%. So the key takeaway here is that the growth is accelerating, not just revenue, but also profit, and they are also getting operating leverage. So the company had been sounding very bullish in their con call, and they have shared their entire FY26 growth outlook, and they have reiterated their growth guidance, which is, I guess, a bit disappointing, because if your Q1 was so good, I would expect that you should raise the guidance, but probably the company is trying to be conservative, or I don't know. So we have to just track their execution. Their execution had been flawless in Q1. So in FY 2026, they are expecting a revenue of around like $5.3 billion to $5.8 billion. And year on year, it shows a growth from 64% to 77%. It's this range for the revenue. And they're expecting, again, 90% of this revenue will be coming from just AMVUTTRA franchise. And they are expecting a profitability of around 17%, which has to be seen. If they keep getting the operating leverage, that would be great, and both investors and management can make a lot of money. Well, also they have shared their growth guidance for FY 2030. So they are expecting revenue CAGR of 25% to 2030, and they are expecting non-GAAP operating margin of 28%. So to remind you, the current operating margin is is 45%. So their margin might decline, but somewhere they are expecting in the long run 28% non-GAAP operating margin. They also have a few more drugs in the pipeline, which are on hypertension, obesity, and Alzheimer's disease. And some of them are also in the phase 3 trial. They are expecting to launch a new drug in 2030. So overall, their pipeline looks good. And if their new drugs also become successful, like this AMVUTTRA, then that would be really killer result coming up in the future quarters. Another thing that I like about this company is that they're investing heavily in the R&D. So in this particular quarter, which is Q1 2026, they have invested. Their investment in R&D, or their expenditure in R&D, has grown by 38% year on year. So if a company like a biotech company, they always have to be ahead of the other biotech companies, because it's always a highly competitive market. So if a company is investing heavily in their R&D, that is very good, because that means the company is well aware of the situation, is that they have to grow fast. And if some drug comes out and becomes successful, like AMVUTTRA, that will totally change the way this company functions. So particularly for this company, as we have seen, this AMVUTTRA drug are making huge amount of money, and that has totally changed the scenario of this company. Just one particular drug changed this company from loss making to profitable company. This company also is basically manufacturing in Massachusetts, but they have a global presence. I haven't really found whether they are planning to outsource their manufacturing or something, but for now they're just manufacturing themselves. So they also have this cost advantage because they manufacture this themselves. In the con call, this management also has mentioned that for many patients, the doctor is suggesting this specific drug, AMVUTTRA, as a first line therapy. So to understand what is this, usually in a second line therapy, what happens if a specific drug has been given to a patient, and that drug fails, and then as a second option that the doctor is choosing AMVUTTRA, then it will be a second line therapy. In a first line therapy, if this drug is given, that is extremely good. That means that if a patient is being diagnosed by cardiomyopathy caused by the specific protein transthyretin, then that patient is administered AMVUTTRA as a first line of choice. So that is really good. So finally, let's look at the valuation, because this valuation will set whether an investor should invest or not. Because what the management's execution had been flawless, really good, but whatever happened, that is the past. We should look at that what is the future outlook and the current valuation. Based on that, we should decide whether we should invest or not. So we can assume that the midpoint of the guidance, which is the revenue of $5.5 billion and a net margin of 17%, let's stay conservative, that in Q1 of FY25, the net margin was 17%. So let's have a net margin for the entire year of FY26. If it is 17%, then we get a net income of around $935 million. So if the current market cap is $39.5 billion, then we get a forward PE of 42 based on FY26 earning. So a 70% growth engine for forward PE of 42 looks very decent and reasonable for me. So the final takeaway is that this company, I think you should track very seriously, because if its particular drug AMVUTTRA is growing very fast, then it will make a lot of money for the investors and for the company as a whole. So we always have to keep track whether the growth rate of this AMVUTTRA is around constant or accelerating. If it is decelerating, then we should be careful, and we should probably start trimming. So I have this company in my portfolio, and I am I'm closely tracking this company, and I'll be sharing if this company, if there is any good update on this company. So on that note, wish you all the best. Bye.